Chapter 14 of Nicholas, a Manhattan Christmas Story by Carroll Moore. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A Twelfth Night Surprise. When the Knickerbocker Limited arrived at the Grand Central Station on Twelfth Night Eve, John Moon and Joe Starr were waiting at the gate.
"There they come, behind the pine trees!"
cried Joe Starr.
"Nicholas looks for all the world like a jack-in-the-green. Let's pretend not to see them."
But John Moon was already waving to Anne Carraway, and a moment later Nicholas was giving Joe Starr a little pine tree.
"I brought this tree all the way from Maine for you, Joe Starr,"
he said.
"Ben went into the woods for it. I had a wonderful time with Ben."
"Didn't I tell you, Nicholas, old boy?"
said Joe Starr.
"Let's check the bags here and leave the pine boughs at the library with Brownie, while we go and have supper at Henri's. And after that, if you're not sleepy, we'll see the new Twelfth Night play at the Little Theater."
"We slept most of the way over from Boston, Joe,"
said Anne Carraway.
"So you see we're ready for anything now. It sounds like a lovely party."
The Brownie was nowhere in sight when they left the pine boughs in the children's room, but the troll was there, and he sniffed the fresh Maine smell greedily.
"Couldn't you come to see the play with us, old giant?"
asked Nicholas. But the troll shook his head and said he was too busy arranging for a little Twelfth Night party of his own.
"Meet me beside the first library lion tomorrow night after dark,"
he whispered to Nicholas.
"You can bring Anne Carraway with you, but no one else. It's the last night of Christmas, you know."
Nicholas ran out of the children's room after the others, and they all walked up Fifth Avenue on an orange flash until they came to 46th Street. Then they walked west on a green flash until they came to Henri's. There were lovely French baskets and boxes and all kinds of New Year's surprises in the two big windows. When they walked into Henri's, Nicholas could see the most fascinating little cakes on one side, and on the other side there were French bonbons and chocolates in every shape you can think of. He wanted to stop and look around, but they walked straight upstairs to a big room with a high part and a low part, and the stairs from the candy shop coming up between. This time they sat at a table in the low part. There was no music, and no one wanted any. They were having such a good time just talking and laughing. All round him Nicholas could hear French people speaking in their own language. Joe Starr had been news hunting down on Long Island with John Moon, and they had so many funny stories to tell of their adventures that Nicholas and Anne Carraway couldn't even begin to tell theirs.
"I saw Paul Revere's house in Boston, Joe Starr,"
said Nicholas.
"in Faneuil Hall, but there was nobody in it. I wish I'd seen the Blue Devils there, the way Anne Carraway did once. I like Boston, but I want a map of my own before I go again. Could you make one for me, John Moon?"
But John Moon had hastily left the table and disappeared downstairs. He was back in no time, his hands filled with oranges.
"Let's touch them off one at a time, Joe,"
he said as he placed an orange beside each of their plates. Nicholas knew it wasn't a real orange as soon as he felt it. The skin was so dry and crackly. John Moon struck a light and lighted Nicholas's orange first, and it burst with a fizz and a bang and lots of smoke. In the empty shell were some tiny marbles and a little secret wrapped up in paper. Then Joe Starr lighted Anne Carraway's orange, and that fizz-banged too.
"Now you set off mine, Joe, and I'll set yours off at the same time,"
said John Moon. The two oranges burst with a double fizz-bang. Then John Moon took out his watch and said,
"Nearly time for the curtain to go up, and I must be there, for I have to write a story about the new Twelfth Night play. I know the man who wrote it, and so does Anne Carraway. He's always wanted to write a Christmas play for children, and this is a jolly one."
"What's the name of it?"
asked Nicholas.
Manhattan's 12th Night,
replied John Moon.
We had to cross Broadway to get to the little theater, Nicholas, so you must hurry along.
The little theater looks just the way you think a theater in a king's palace should look.
It's just the place for a Twelfth Night play,
said Anne Carraway.
I saw Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs here one Christmas time, Nicholas,
she whispered as the curtain went up on Manhattan's 12th night.
That's the jolliest play I've ever seen,
said Nicholas when the curtain fell on the last act.
It's the very first play of its kind,
said John Moon.
And they put it on tonight on purpose for you, Nicholas.
Please thank them for me, John Moon,
said Nicholas, beaming with pleasure as they walked down Broadway. That night, Nicholas slept soundly in the night before Christmas country. Next morning, he found a letter tucked under his door, and when he opened it, 2 blue tickets fell out. They were marked Punch and Judy Theater, January 6th, 8:30 p.m. The letter said,
Tony Stark's marionettes are playing The Rose and the Ring, Nicholas, old boy. John Moon and I have to work today, but we want you and Anne Carraway to sit up there in one of the little boxes and come back and tell us all about it. Whistle for us, Nicholas. Joestar, whistle boy.
Nicholas skated in Central Park until lunchtime and met Anne Carraway at Lucky's. The Punch and Judy Theater was filled with children who were all as quiet as mice before the curtain went up. All round the sides of that little theater, high up like a gallery, there are boxes that hold just 2 people. Nicholas and Anne Carraway sat in one of these boxes. They could see all the children who were sitting downstairs, as well as the play. Nicholas had often seen marionettes, but he had never seen them play The Rose and the Ring, and when the fairy Blackstick turned that very tall, fierce, extremely rude porter, Gruffanuff, who had refused to admit the fairy to the Princess Angelica's christening, into a brass knocker, Nicholas went wild with joy, and leaning far out of the box, he clapped and shouted,
Serves him right! Serves him right!
No one paid any attention to him, for every child in the theater was shouting the same thing.
I wish the troll could see this play,
he whispered when the curtain went down on the first act. While Nicholas and Anne Carraway were following the fortunes of the careless Prince Giglio and his cousin Angelica, the little maid Betsinda with her warming-pan, Prince Bulbo with his fairy rose, the awful old Countess Gruffanuff, and all the others, the troll had gone down to Hudson Park to consult Gretchen about his plans for Twelfth Night.
I must be off tonight, Gretchen, as you know, but I don't want to tell Nicholas that I'm going. I just want to leave him having a good time with a few friends he can count upon until I come back again next Christmas Eve. Not a big party at all. I've asked Brownie, of course, an Irish fairy, a Cornish pixie, a goblin I know very well, and a couple of elves. I'd like to take them for a ride across Brooklyn Bridge, but I'm afraid all the others will want to come too.
How would you like to take the mysterious taxi tonight?
Said Gretchen.
I think I could get it for you, only I should have to come along myself.
Nicholas would love to have you.
Said the troll.
And so would I. How shall we manage?
I'll ride up to Murray Hill and fetch you all,
said Gretchen.
You'll find us waiting beside the first library lion,
said the troll.
I told Nicholas to meet me there after dark. Do you mind if Anne Carraway goes along?
Of course I don't mind,
said Gretchen.
Anne Carraway was with me the first Christmas I ever rode in the mysterious taxi. There was someone else with us. He looked like St. Nicholas, and he gave me the number of the taxi and told me a secret way of calling it whenever I needed it for a friend. You are one of my oldest friends, you know.
The old troll stumped off, looking very happy indeed. And when it was dark, dark enough for the Milligan Place lamp to be lighted, Gretchen called the mysterious taxi and rode up through Chelsea to Murray Hill. Ever so many people tried to hail that taxi, for it appeared to be empty. But the driver paid no attention to anybody. He kept straight on until he came to the first library lion. The troll was waiting for the mysterious taxi, and before it stopped he was standing on the curb with his little party. Gretchen made room for Nicholas and the brownie on the seat beside her, and while they were all getting nicely settled, the troll stumped back for a word with the first library lion.
"Skal, Leo Astor,"
he called.
"take good care of Nicholas while I'm gone. Tell Leo Lennox to watch for him every time he crosses 42nd Street. Don't look for me back before Christmas Eve."
Then the troll climbed into the mysterious taxi, and away it rolled down Fifth Avenue to Washington Square.
Where are we going, old giant?
asked Nicholas as the mysterious taxi crawled in and out of one crooked street after another.
"We're going to have supper first,"
said Gretchen, and the mysterious taxi stopped before the door of a little white house with green blinds. Gretchen had ordered a delicious supper with a fire on the hearth and candles and a Twelfth night cake at the end. The Irish fairy had just begun to tell fortunes when there came a knock at the door. The goblin flew to open it. It was the driver of the mysterious taxi.
"I'm cold and hungry and lonesome out there,"
said he.
"Sit right down and eat a hot supper,"
said Gretchen.
"and you'll feel better. The troll will look after your car."
So the driver sat down between Gretchen and the brownie, and ate a very large supper, and drank any number of cups of strong coffee. And then he said, with a smile and a twinkle in his eye,
"I have a surprise for you all."
And up he got and walked out to the mysterious taxi. When he came back, he brought a pile of lovely fur coats. There was one for each of them.
"You'll need fur coats,"
he said,
"for the mysterious taxi has turned into a wide-open taxi. The moon is full, and we are going to ride over the bridges tonight."
Good, good.
shouted Nicholas.
That's what I've been wanting to do ever since I came.
So they all put on the soft, warm fur coats, which were as light as thistledown, and then they climbed into the wide-open taxi. The troll sat up beside the driver and told him where he wanted to go. They rode away under the stars, beyond the Bowery, and straight across Brooklyn Bridge. On Columbia Heights, they all got out to watch the moon rise over the harbor.
"It has been the loveliest Christmas time we've ever had together, old giant,"
said Anne Carraway.
"I've always wanted to ride over the bridges, just the way we are riding tonight. How did you happen to think of it?"
"I'm always wandering over these bridges when I'm in New York,"
replied the troll.
"seeing the sun and the moon rise and the stars come out. I knew Nicholas and the others would like it, and I thought you would, but I should never have been able to manage it comfortably without Gretchen and the mysterious taxi."
"Gretchen is a dear,"
said Anne Carraway.
"She's always finding ways of getting things done for her friends."
The two elves danced past them with Nicholas, and then the brownie came rollicking along with the Irish fairy and the Cornish pixie.
"It does me good to hear Brownie laugh like that,"
said the troll.
"She ought to get away oftener."
"And that's what I think about all of them,"
said Anne Carraway.
"They've been shut up in books too long. People even forget how they look and mix them up frightfully."
"We'll take Manhattan Bridge next,"
said the troll.
"No goblin has yet crossed it, I hear. I'm fond of that bridge. I have friends living near it."
Now let's cross Brooklyn Bridge again, old giant,
begged Nicholas.
"I love Brooklyn Bridge best of all the bridges."
So they rode over Brooklyn Bridge once more in the mysterious taxi. This time they turned about at the end of the bridge and came back the same way. Halfway across, the troll suddenly disappeared from the seat beside the driver.
Where are you, old giant?
called Nicholas. But there was no answer to his call, and the mysterious taxi rolled on toward Manhattan with Nicholas leaning far out of it, looking for the first of his Christmas friends. End of chapter 14.